Science telling us that the recording is in progress. Yes, Josh was not expecting the jams. Well, I figured, I was like, what's the summer hit? And I was like, I'm pretty sure like Beyonce's a reasonable summer hit. To you in the house, hello from the DMV, Terry. Terry, I was meaning to email you. I was just going through our home studio show and tell from last week. Y'all, if you missed the home studio show and tell, it's on YouTube right now, and it was such a fun and wonderful group of people, and it was amazing to get a fabulous tour of Terry's studio, as well as Kimberly's super beginner beginning steps. So we had two wonderful humans who were sharing some really wonderful things. Hello, my name is Siobhán. I am so happy to be spending this last day of June with you all, and I am. Oh my God, I'm heading there this afternoon. Yes, okay. What's up, Atlanta, Jerry? Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. Yeah. So this is our Ask Me Anything. I see we're starting off with an intimate crew today. And I want to say hello to our Chief Edge Officer, David Goldberg. How you doing? To my Zoom right. Haha.
Hey, Siobhán, good job. Great intro. Thanks. Hey, everyone. Yeah, it is with trepidation that I'm sitting outside. I got on the call 10 minutes ago with Siobhán, and I said, "Look, I'm outside. It's just gorgeous out. But do you think it's okay? What do you think?" And I can head down into my office in the basement. And she said, "That's fine." So I'm outside. Yes, with trepidation. Not trepidation because my connection will be iffy, but just it's not my usual professional office, as little professional as my office is. At least it's usually an office, and but it's beautiful outside. I hope everyone's doing well, and hopefully my connection is good.
Yeah, I was like, David, bring the summer vibes. Like, it's
Yeah.
good. We gotta be outside when we can, to whatever degree, so you're not too hot. Um, then that's a wonderful thing. Great to see you again, everybody. Micah, I'm so glad that you are here. Great to see you. What's up, Lauren? We got John Bellamar. John, did you have a new logo? Did I see a new logo? A kind of Art Deco. I loved it. I loved it. It looks very good. Everybody, it's great for us all to be here together again. So, you know, um, it's me and David today. Our next session, which is going to be July 14th, which is insane, we'll be featuring our one and only James Andrews. And we'll be there, obviously to just share in the delight that he is as a human, but he's also got two classes coming up. We have luxury versus everyday VO, which is a really interesting class he's doing, all about like the different brands in voiceover as a commercial voice actor, and like Chanel versus Axe, and the different approaches you have to brands like that, and like y'all deserve to be you deserve to live in luxury. And so James is going to teach you a little bit about that, and that is a workshop, so that's going to be extremely hands-on, extremely interactive. You will be talking as much as he will, and that's tough because it's if you know James, the man, he can speak some stuff. So then, otherwise, I'm seeing the key to commercial, which is a link that I somehow lost. So the key to commercial is also coming up, and I'm gonna just grab that really quick for you. And here we go. It's right here. So if you are like, yeah, I'm like wanting to get back into some specialty classes, some group classes, some summer vibes. We highly encourage you to spend some time with James this July. It's happening. Both classes are happening on the 23rd. So I'm gonna try to get myself in there because I'm a big fan of him, and as you all might know or guess about me, I really thrive in group settings. Although one-on-one is also very good too. So hope you're getting in on some voiceover education and treating yourself to some classes and coaching this summer, as we are literally like coming to the end of June, which is wild. And if you are so new and you're like, how do I do summer voiceover? Well, we recommend Investigate Voiceover. And I've just dropped that link in the chat. And yeah, it's great to see you. Okay, amazing. The questions are coming in.
But
Chile,
wait,
Nairobi. Yeah,
hey,
David.
let me throw something in before your question. Really interesting, little fun story. So a moment ago, Siobhán, you mentioned interactive voiceover and acts. And it reminded me of a very funny job we had. We did some work for Axe. I was actually still working on Axe in different languages, but the company wanted some work done. And while they were asking us to do some work initially, they were also testing a new product. And they asked if we would actually help test this new product. So we were given bottles of Axe shower gel, and we had to use Axe shower gel and then fill out this report, this survey. Now, this is the most interactive job imaginable because the survey consisted of questions like latherability, rinsability, but including how did it make your private parts feel? It was like the most insane questions. You cannot imagine a more interactive voiceover job than Axe. It was bizarre. We probably still have like 10 bottles, in my house. They keep stockpiled us.
That
Anyway,
is
that's the summer anecdote. Okay, we move on.
summer vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Jerry says la la la. You guys are funny. What's up, Joel? Great to see you. It's great to see we got Michael here. I know y'all so well that I know when you come in and you got the handles of your partners or whatever. I'm like, I know who that is. And now it's like I know everybody's partners' names too to a certain degree. What's up, Josh? It's great to see you. It's great to see you, Josh. Thanks for coming. Hey, Bruce, how's it going? All right, letting the people in. So, okay, if you guys are like, if anybody is new here, there's a lot of familiar faces, but there's a lot of black squares too. We love you, black squares. You don't have to turn your camera on. If you're like, why is this woman, just like shouting at everyone and David's talking about, the Axe brand? We're here. This is, of course, our casual community setting and where we all come to see each other and kind of, talk shop, as it were, casually, as it were, and all things voiceover. So you can just ask us some questions in the chat, and I will bring them over to David, and we'll just talk. We'll just spend this hour talking about what everybody's working on and questions and thoughts that you've got in your brains. You can watch this in gallery, which is I like because I like to see everyone's faces, or speaker mode based on your view button in your top right corner. And in your bottom left corner, you will see an ellipses button underneath of your chat, and you can save the chat that way. If you everyone here is funny and charming, and there are also very good links that are shared not just from myself but from others in the community. So you might want that for your reference after this hour flies by, as time really flies by. Isn't that the truth, y'all? Are we like at mid 2022? She said, as she almost said mid 2020. I literally okay. So anyway, let's get it going and let's talk some stuff. So Terry's got a tech question right away. Here we go. He says, David, when getting a new mic, do you recommend getting your studio reassessed?
Absolutely. And you may be able to do it on your own, but if your ears are not there for technical qualities, absolutely have a professional step in, because there can be a drastic difference between mics, and there may be, like, you might find out that the mic has the same level pickup, the same EQ curve, it's just cleaner and there's nothing to change, but it really could be drastic. There are different types of microphones, different shaped microphones. Microphones have different pickup patterns. They have different frequency responses, different sound pressure levels, different noises in the background, or noise levels. Yeah, absolutely reassess. And you need to reassess all components of your recording chain, including your EQ, your compressor or normalizer. Yeah, absolutely an overhaul. And make sure you save your settings from the previous mic, and make sure you save the previous mic. I talk about this a lot, so a lot of you have heard this before, but man, you better save that stuff, because if a client contacts you and they want you to re-record something that had been recorded on a prior job, they want you to re-record it, like a pickup from a job that you used the previous microphone, you better have that microphone ready and those levels saved, so you can easily punch in a new recording into the old recording.
David, how often, when you were sort of starting out, I mean, I guess even in the music days, which, by the way, I feel like a lot of voiceover engineers used to do music stuff. Do you think that that's true, David?
Yeah.
Like,
no, without doubt.
Feliciano, without a doubt, yeah. And it's really funny because when you ask voiceover engineers if they want to do music stuff, they're all like, "No, thank you. No, I do not want to do that anymore." It really feels like you kind of graduate to voiceover from the music industry. David, when you were starting out, like how, like I don't know how many. I don't even know what I want to ask, but did you like replace mics often? Were you constantly sort of trying to upgrade? How regularly did you upgrade a mic?
Boy, going way back, I started with a couple of really good mics, but only a few of them. I probably had like two really good mics, and then yeah, the rest were crappy mics. And it was a little, dark music studio, but that wasn't, and that was like sort of in a dorm room in college. And luckily, the studio did pretty well, and soon enough, I was able to reinvest into some better microphones. So, but I always save, like I just spoke about, I always save the original microphones. But
Yeah.
it's not just upgrading microphones, guys. It's upgrading all of the components of the recording studio down to the acoustics. Upgrading the acoustics when you can, and there's just so many pieces of the puzzle.
Um, David, Christina is asking, where can we find good resources for the legal slash contract side of voiceover? Also, how important is it to have a contract for your non-union slash non-agency work?
That's a really interesting question, and there are a lot of reasons to have a contract, and there are a lot of reasons not to. I'll tell you that up front, the contract can really scare a lot of clients away, like really scare them away. Because look, at the end of the day, if a client wants to hire your voice and they think your voice is perfect for a job, there probably isn't another voice actor out there who has a very similar voice and who can deliver. And so if the client has to deal with the contract with one voice actor, or they can get the exact same thing without a contract, without dealing with a contract and agreements and possibly incorporating their lawyer, then that seems like the safer option. Now, certainly there are some clients who prefer an agreement and who will only work forward with an agreement. I've had that many times, or we at Edge Studio have a lot of clients who absolutely request agreements for jobs, but those are usually either national or international jobs or ongoing work, very large scale jobs. The vast majority of other jobs, nothing more than, there's not really an official agreement that we use. It's just the letters, the words inside emails that go back and forth. What I have always done with a lot of clients is I'll state all information in a final wrap up email. Right prior to beginning the job, we'll write in an email, great, we're set to begin. Here's a wrap up of everything, just to lay it all in one place. Here's the rate, here's the voice actor we use, here's the number of hours, here's what you pay, here's how we work with pickups. And it's all just clear in one email. And that's when it's really nice to have a template. And then we send that to the client, and we make sure that the client replies to that email so we know that they have received it. So there's proof that they have seen that email. So we might just put a question at the end like, so is everything good for Tuesday afternoon, just to begin? An innocent question like that, they write back yes. And now we feel like we have proof that they have seen that email. So if we ever have to go to court, and battle them, for payment or something, we have some amount of proof. Now, that's not legal advice I can give. That's friendly advice I'm giving. But that's what we do for a whole lot of smaller jobs. So it depends. I think if you can get your hands on an agreement, that's great, but only use it when you really need to. And remember, an agreement can protect you both ways, right? I think a lot of voice actors think about it from the perspective of protecting themselves, right? So you make sure you get paid what's fair to you, but also protecting your client shows that you care about the client. And when you put it in that perspective to a client, sometimes they feel good. You might say to a client, look, this is a great job. We're both excited to work together. Let's do what's fair for both of us. Let's make sure everything's clear for both of us, so we have a really good, solid working relationship. So sometimes you can go to that route. Works nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's Terry says Goldberg and Associates.
Yeah, then it says it all, doesn't it? Yeah.
But yes, we give friendly advice, not legal advice. It is not our jobs here. We are not legal professionals. That's not the right word. Don't ask me to really get into the weeds here. We are legally professional. David is legally a professional, but not a legal professional. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. um, yeah. So, Christina, I hope that's helpful. I think, it's really funny. That is now, David, I do the same thing with you that you do now. I'm like, it really depends on the person and it depends on your experience and what's going on with you. Um, good resources. I mean, if people even do this, I don't know that many voice actors who get really heavily involved into the legal contract side in like a big way at this point, at least not in my networks. But if people have a resource, please do feel free to drop it in the chat
Yeah.
and
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. So, if you want a resource, look up an entertainment lawyer who works in voiceover specifically. That'd be great. Um, at Edge, we have three different lawyers we use for different purposes. I mean, but we're involved with lots of different kinds of productions. But we have one guy that we rely on just for contracts, just for these types of contracts, and he's great. It doesn't take a very expensive lawyer typically to be able to get through a contract like this. By the way, one of the jobs we do a lot of our international jobs, like a whole lot of international work with countries all around the world, and because of conversion rates and all sorts of things that come up, whether voice actors are being used as a contractor and all sorts of these business things. Um, Sometimes international work it'll be more likely to have a contract with an international client than one in the States, at least for us.
Also super, yeah, also super valid. Hope that's helpful, Christina, and thanks for being with us. And Julie is saying, I actually took classes with Edge in New York in 2009 and cut 2 demos. Unfortunately, I became intimidated by the apparent need and cost of a home studio, as well as feeling lost regarding getting work. Now that technology has become far cheaper and more accessible, David, how can one try to launch a VO career?
Yeah, when you said 2009, my head immediately went to like, wow, a studio costs so much more back then. Things have really changed in the past 13 years. I would recommend an assessment. I would love to take that on. It's a cool thing. Just read. Let me listen to your demos, number one, and see where you are, or whoever. Choose another coach if you want. But I think I can help you probably to listen to your demos, see how current they sound, and listen to you read and see how current you sound. And if you need brush ups, maybe you need full training again. Maybe you need some brush up training. Maybe you've retained everything. And also the types of voiceover work have changed to some degree. Well, the work that was available in 2009 has not gone away, but there are more types of work these days. So there may be a better fit for you somewhere in like a subgenre of the industry, or a genre, or even subgenre of the industry. So it would just be, I think, just an assessment would be optimal at this point.
Yeah, David, do you think demos from 2009 would still be useful in 2022?
Probably not all of it. There's a slim chance, but there's a very good chance that perhaps half of it is still very relevant. There's something great about showing that you've been around for a long time, right? So if you have one snippet on a demo that sounds a bit older and one that sounds more current, then to a keen casting team, they think, okay, you've been around for a while, and that's super helpful. It shows that you are experienced. And it adds variety. If your voice has changed a lot, then it's not fair to have anything from an old demo, because then you're misrepresenting how you sound, right? That's just not fair to the potential client or casting team. But assuming your voice still sounds somewhat the same, yeah, maybe keep a couple of pieces and add some more current things. And that's probably where you would fall.
Yeah. I also just want to say, Julie, being intimidated by this industry is very, very common. It is not like weird at all. It's
Yeah.
totally natural, and it happens to a lot of people. Also, life happens. We are all individuals with like a lot going on and more going on all the time. I'm like the older I get, the more is like going on. I'm like, it can be overwhelming. So stuff gets in the way, life gets in the way, being overwhelmed or intimidated, and this can be a lot. Like starting voiceover can be a lot, and I always, talk to beginning voice actors about like the three components. Your literal voiceover audition and overall technique as a voice actor, your home studio, your marketing. Actually, there's four things. It's like your home studio and being proficient at building that up and upgrading it and doing all the labor on it, but also being, an engineer and editing your work and being confident with a DAW, with a digital audio workstation, and your marketing, and how you put yourself out into the world. Those are four things that, some of those things you might have to practice really hard at all of those things. I'm someone who nothing really comes naturally to me. I really have to practice. And it can be discouraging to feel like you have to practice so much at like so many different things. But Julie, my advice to David, I agree. I agree with David to get an assessment. And then I definitely encourage looking at a long term strategy where you work on one sort of thing at a time, right? And you get yourself back there at a pace that makes sense for you, working in those four departments so you can kind of feel confident and not overwhelmed, because slow and steady is better than all at once and burning out, right? It really, it's really important. I hope everybody sort of takes that to heart too. Like there's a lot to do, and if you do it all at once and you burn out, and you give up, then that is not effective. So don't, try not to get discouraged, and talk to people when you do feel discouraged. And it's never a bad investment to book a coaching session with someone who can support you, empower you, and help you get some strategy going. So
But
that's
I would like to sort of rephrase that, because I think getting into voiceover is way easier than getting into almost any other industry. Because like if you want a new career, typically you go to school for something, right? And you don't need to go to school for this in terms of like a 4-year college, a 2-year degree. It's because the foundation of voiceover is talking, reading and talking, and that we do naturally already. It's just sort of tailoring the way you read and tailoring the way you speak, and then yes, learning the studio stuff, which is easier today than ever before. But it's so much. Oh, sorry. It's a lot easier than I think other things. You talked about practicing, but I don't know. You're practicing is reading, and most people like to read anyway. And if you're getting to voiceover, I think it's important that you enjoy reading to begin with. I mean, if you don't enjoy reading, you're getting bounced by a dog. I apologize. If you don't enjoy reading, then this industry is not for you anyway. So theoretically, if you enjoy voiceover, then you should enjoy reading, and then practicing it should be fun. Like you're doing something that's your pastime. There's a story that I've told a couple of times on this on Ask Me Anythings, and I'll share it with you. It's a math instructor. It was a high school math, or a middle school grade math instructor who became a voice actor in his retirement. And this guy he's fantastic, like exceptional. He makes math super engaging. And he told me that he loved math so much that on weekends, he would spend his weekends and holidays, he would spend his time at the school library reading math textbooks. It was just his pastime. In addition to his career, it was his pastime. And when he retired, he did some voiceover training. He went to an educational company, got hired to record math textbooks. And he said to me once, I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do in my retirement, except I'm getting paid for it. Like I wanted to continue reading math textbooks. That's my pastime. Like I love researching math, studying math, reading about it. And now I'm hired to record a book a week, or maybe it was a book every other week, and I'm getting paid for it. Like life couldn't get better. And that has always resonated with me. So back to the point here, if you enjoy voiceover and you enjoy reading, then practicing is just reading. It should be a good thing. I mean, you're thinking about the way you read, right? You're reading differently, but I know it should be fun. I really believe that voice actors who do voiceover because they enjoy it are more successful ultimately than those who don't necessarily enjoy it. They just do it for some money.
These are good. These are also extremely good points, and that it's not like, I guess, reframing how you look at it, and like it's not that big of a deal. It's not that serious. It's not that it can bring you joy. And I do think that's a really good strategy and super helpful for for us creative folks who are doing voiceover. Um, Josh says, David, I see that you offer private sessions as well. From a master engineer / producer's perspective, what might you work on during your sessions that differentiates them from other instructor sessions? Good question. What
But
goes down? What goes down in the David one-on-one?
yeah, it's different for every single voice actor. I have never run the same session twice. Yeah, it just depends on the person. It really does. I know that there are a number of people on this call who have worked with me, and if you guys want to chat something about it, that's fine. They're different. I don't know. Everyone has a different voice. Everyone has different goals. Everyone has different types of questions, different interests. Some people will put more time into practicing and some won't. Some people pick up things more easily, some don't. I don't know. I don't have a template. I just don't. It's just every session is different. I go into it completely openly, and I don't know, just try to have voice actors do well.
Um, Valid enough. It
I would
depends.
say, I think the one thing, well, there are a couple of comments that I hear consistent. Like a lot of people, anyway, it feels weird to say it, like in a public call that's no less being recorded. Um, but a lot of people say the sessions with me seem to be more beneficial. Um, I feel as though a session with me sometimes is the equivalent of multiple sessions with someone else. But try it. I don't know. You guys can populate the chat box. I'm not looking at the chats at all, so nor will I. I will promise I won't look. So for Siobhán, you can read them to me later, though, right? And no, but I mean, the I think it's important to be open and honest with everyone. Be transparent, and and also to the person who asked the question, you can chat privately with someone on the call. Like, in fact, if anyone on this call has things to say and you don't want it to be public, chat privately to the person or respond privately to the person who asked that question, and then I can see it, right? So be transparent. But the sessions are really, I think they're tailored, is what they are, and we cover a lot of. One thing I can say, we cover a ridiculous amount of ground. When people who I work with me, at the end of every session, I send a lot of notes, like a boatload of notes. And I like to follow up, and I like to ask people how they're doing and how our audition's coming. And hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Like, what's going on? Like I like to really follow through. I want people to succeed. This whole company is built on voice actors succeeding. It's the whole foundation of Edge Studio. So if you guys do well, our business does well.
For some reason, and I don't know why this is, and I have to go check the settings. I need to just make a note to do that. They can't DM each other anymore, which is no fun. And I don't know what changed, and I'll need to talk to. I need to bring that up the chain, uh, why that is. But as you all know, I can only multitask so much, and I'm like, I don't want to get in the weeds of the Zoom, the back end of Zoom, in this moment. But yeah, I appreciate that, and I think there's obviously a lot of great comments as a response to what David was saying. And Kimberly says he's straight with you and to the point. Love it. And Dina says David's extremely technical, which is incredibly helpful. And Mark says David cares so much about each of his students and such an incredible wealth of experience and knowledge that he is well worth the extra cost because not a minute is wasted. I can attest to that. I have not privately coached with you for some reason yet, David. I don't know why, but I do know that you do not like to waste a minute. You're like you're like, Siobhán, you need to open the Zoom. It's 12:59. Are you? And I appreciate that. So I can attest to that. And you all are awesome. So I'm scrolling back up to get to my people from Dina. I love this question. And before I even get to Dina's question, if people have a travel studio setup, in other words, if you're a mover and a shaker, because it's 2022 and we're kind of doing that again, sort of, and you bring some gear with you on the road, on a plane, on a boat, whatever it is that you do in your very exciting life, and you feel good about it and are happy with it, I would love to showcase you at the Home Studio Show and Tell next month because we get a lot of questions and requests and prompts, to see that. So I got Kimberly this way, and she was amazing to have in our session. So if you, oh my gosh, that was my, I don't even know. Does anybody have like 4 email addresses? It's out of control. So this is my Edge email address, and if you write to me at that and you want to share your travel setup at the show and tell, you will be extremely popular, and we would love, love, love to do that with you. Now, Dina is asking me, I know there are lots of awesome mics I can use when I travel. I'm concerned I can't match the sound for pickups unless I buy a second identical mic as my booth mic. David, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, just take your booth mic with you. Just buy a Pelican case. They're like the best cases in the world. Any of you know Pelican cases?
Yes, I work in film.
Yeah. Okay. The case will cost you like $50 for like a little case that holds a mic, or $100, but just buy a Pelican case. Your mic will be protected. It will be safer traveling with you than it will be leaving it at home. Seriously, like, at home, maybe it falls off the stand. Someone vacuums and knocks it over when you're not there. If someone robs your home, sorry, but life is life. Take it with you. Keep it in your bag with you. Yeah, just bring the mic with you.
Well, what if your mic is like firmly set up in your space and it's like really good in there and you don't want to move it around, right? Is anybody feeling that? Like you don't want to mess
And
with it?
then buy. Then if you travel a lot, buy an identical mic, or ask someone on our engineering team to make a stack that can sort of reproduce the sound quality from a traveling mic. Um, there are a lot of microphones that sound very similar to good microphones, and oftentimes made by the same company, like a lower model of the same microphone that you can purchase, and then just ask someone, how to use processors to sort of simulate the other sounds. You can do that. It might just be a simple program. So, for example, if you buy the model the Model Y microphone, well, maybe the company makes a lower grade microphone, and it puts out a little lower sound quality, has a little bit more noise floor, a couple changes. Then you maybe just have to boost the settings differently. And once you get that set, a new template set, then maybe you're fine.
Um, Awesome, important conversations, and yeah, it is a thing where it's like, oh, I'm traveling. Like, am I out of work? So I think this is really important things to talk about. Vernon says that I have a decade of experience in podcasting as a host. I also recorded my first audiobook last year. Voiceover seems like a no-brainer, but where do you recommend I get started?
An assessment. Because there's a huge difference between podcasts and audiobooks. Even within audiobooks, there's a big difference between uh, just straight narrator pieces to dialogue stories and fiction to nonfiction, and contemporary classic to sci-fi to kids books. I mean, there's such a wide range of styles, and the common thread between podcast and audiobooks is that they're generally storytelling, right? They're recorded typically without music in the background, without sound effects, so clarity is super important. But they really are two different styles of work. I will say that in the podcast world, the type of voiceover work that's available would typically be intros, segues, outros, sponsored by ads. Like this podcast is sponsored by, and here's your host, and so on. Like mini recordings. It's generally not ongoing work, whereas audiobook work is great because if a publisher likes you, they may continue to give you titles, which is terrific. But you might also find that you might say audiobooks it was too much work, too long, right? It occupied too much of your time, or the editing took you too long, and whatever it might be, and maybe you want to try a different genre. So that's something that you want to assess. I don't think it's great to try to be everything to everyone in this industry, to try to offer character work and commercial work and documentary work and podcast work and audiobook work. It can be overwhelming when you get into the industry. It's fine to be diverse for sure, but to try to offer everything to everyone seems to be overkill and can really make things sometimes a bit confusing. Plus, you need so many demos that it might be a bit too much upfront. So, pick a place and start there. Start with a commercial and a narration demo. Start with just a podcast demo or an audiobook demo, perhaps. But yeah, get an assessment. Oh, and also,
Yeah.
podcasting microphones tend to be very different than your voiceover microphones. So you now I don't know what kind of mic you have, obviously, but you may need to switch around your equipment, or at least your microphone.
Definitely. I know as a voice actor, does anybody else like struggle with podcasts because you're like, wow, that person's articulators or like their skill. Like I just feel like I hear a lot of like not great podcast hosts because they have no training. And I keep thinking like, like I even want the New York Times guy. I want him to have a session with you, David, because I even hit the daily. I'm like, this is I don't think he's ever like I don't know that he's ever trained like to speak into a microphone. Um, so I think it's wonderful, Vernon, that you're like it'll only one will impact the other, and you'll be great in both. Absolutely, and I think it's wonderful that you're like, oh yeah, this is you've done audiobook work, and I agree. An assessment to have a one-on-one and get that conversation going about where you are and what kind of needs you in particular have to get your career expanding.
And by
Varick
the
is
way,
asking.
wait, sorry, one more thing. There are some technical difference between recording podcasts and the rest of the voiceover world. And there's a word that I just cannot remember. And I was just about to go search for it, but I don't know, maybe someone on the call knows it. But in podcasts, and it's weird that I don't remember the word, but in podcasts, you don't typically work when you're talking about microphone gain. Like in voiceover, we talk about you want to be at minus 6 dB, minus 8 dB, and we use the word decibels. But in podcasting, there's a different word used in place of decibels. I just can't remember what it is. And if anyone can recall it, if not, during the next question, I'll just open up I'll just research it. I'll get it for you. But just another word. Anyway, the point is that there are some technical differences or just terminology that differs between the two worlds, and you'll just need to get that straight. So when you work with a client in voiceover and they say they want you to record at peaks of minus 3 dB or something like that, you need to know what that means.
Also very helpful perspective there too. And Vernon, folks are Dina's asking in the chat to drop your link so that we can give you a listen. And I'm just looking up. I'm going to get you a link too that you were asking for. Here we go. So I'm doing a little bit of multitasking, but we offer private evaluations at Edge Studio. You know, we encourage you to join us for that, and that's a place where you can really just get that conversation going about your work and who you are and what you need. And so I'm scrolling back up because Varick, right, was asking about David. Do you know if we're gonna have this is probably a question for our director of education, but our international voiceover market with Simone and Jason, will we be offering that again anytime soon? Do you reckon?
Oh, I don't know if it's currently scheduled or not, but I feel like it's time to offer that class again. It's such a great class.
It's a great class. Those two are amazing and so fun. And so, yeah, I literally wrote it down so that I can ask our director of education. Okay, so I got you, Varick. All right. I'm scrolling along. Okay, and hey, yeah, Jerry trying to restart training after about an 18-month break due to health. Hell yeah, get back into it. And try not to be
Yeah, welcome back.
Welcome back. And Terry says, I love this. When I did the first audiobook, I couldn't believe I was getting paid to read. And that's such a heartwarming.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's an extremely important point. Okay, here we go. All right. Bill is bringing in some heat. Hey, Bill, how are you? Are you still with us or did you leave? It would be a bummer. He's still here. Okay. Hey, Bill. So he says, not to be a downer and take away from Siobhán's wonderful positivity, but I love these, right? So here we go. I have heard that a lot of voice talent is recently seeing a big drop in auditions due to the slowing economy and the potential end of the world. Is Edge Studio noticing this? Question mark. If so, any advice for how voice talent can deal with this in a positive way?
Well, I want to use the right language. Things are slower now, but I don't know if it's necessarily because of the economy. For us, a lot of production jobs slow down in summer. It has been this way historically. I would have predicted this 3 months ago, and I will predict it for next year as well. Every summer, the number of incoming production jobs for us at least drops. And I know other studio owners who say the same thing. So it's very common. Now, maybe this year that would not have been the case for the first time in all of these years, but the economy slowed it down. Maybe, I don't know. But for us, it's like a normal summer.
I mean, I guess here's the thing, right? Like, stuff is gonna come. I think, Bill, my response to that would be, it is so impossible to know, right? Like, it's really impossible to know like what is coming, and how things might like change for the better or for the worse or whatever. And I think ultimately it's about like, is this something you are passionate about that you want to do? and that you will continue working on and through, regardless of, the various challenges that come with it. Because yeah, we do live in uncertain times. We are, I still know many people who are like, my entire office is closed because of COVID, right? So there's a lot that we have to face, and I think that for me, it's like I do what I love because, to David's point, I love it. And I surround myself with amazing people like you all gorgeous, lovely, kind people in the space. And that makes me feel supported. And, I just try to move forward as best I can, and supporting ourselves and each other as best as I can. That is not probably the answer you want, Bill, in terms of like, what do we do? But hard to say, right? Hard to say.
But let me throw in, we've had two clients, and I'm recalling this now. Two clients did say they're postponing jobs into Q4. Because, oh, sorry,
Okay.
because of the economic uncertainty. I should have added those words. Because of the current economic conditions, they have taken their jobs and they've said, we will now, like, they're postponing this 3 months, just until things are more situated for them. Now, the economy, since then, that was said a couple of weeks ago, and since then, the economy seems to have stabled out quite a bit. I don't know if they need 3 months. Maybe they will come back earlier. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But I did hear that 2 times. But that's only 2 times. That's a small sample size. But yeah, so
Okay.
but if you're in voiceover for the long run, and in the long run, for all of these years, the economy gets back on its feet and continues on. The Edge Studio has been around long enough that we went through the crash of 2008. I think there was another one in 1997. We've been through some crashes before, so I'm not concerned.
Yeah, yeah. Taking it in stride, to a degree. From Josh, David, Josh says, I can't seem to find a definitive answer to this online. Is a microphone preamp necessary for professional voiceover, or does this depend on microphone quality?
Yeah, I know how to answer that question. As we're speaking, I'm still pulling up the information on podcast. You, it is, it's critical. It's necessary to take the airwaves that hit your microphone and amplify them. They have to be boosted to something, right? The recording equipment can't record the very low volume of airwaves. They have to be boosted. And sometimes that little amplifier that boosts the voice is a separate unit, as you're mentioning. Sometimes it's built into the microphone. USB microphones, it is built into the microphone. When you buy a USB microphone, there are a bunch of different parts in that microphone. There's the front end of the microphone that's taking in the airwaves. But then there is the amplifier that boosts it up to a working level, a level that your recording equipment, called digital audio workstations, and your processors and your software, it boosts it to a level that can be that the processors can work off of. So it has to be there, whether it's a standalone unit or built into the microphone. There is something there somewhere in the chain. Does that make sense?
Was that helpful? Yeah, I'm getting the thumbs up. Okay. Amazing. Oh boy, the Zoom facilitator. Mateo's like, hey, how is everybody asking questions? Like everyone's quiet. Now, like, in the chat, and then you make hand gestures to me, and then we know that we're good. Obviously, that makes sense, right? That's the way. I say, Mateo, it's not that I actually don't want to hear everyone's beautiful voices. It's just that, like, if you all were unmuted, it would be absolute chaos, and one of y'all would be yelling at your spouse about the burning casserole, and it would just be just chaos, and then I have to yep, and that might be that might be at Tim's house. And then the time it takes to mute and unmute everybody, it's just a little bit more streamlined this way. Okay, so now
Okay, before the question, sorry to interject. I have the information. There's a term called LUFS, LUFS, LUF as in Frank, S as in Sam, and that is essentially the loudness volume that is used in the podcast world. And so When your slider, so to speak, is set to 0 dB, what we as voice actors consider 0 dB, that is the equivalent of -18, -18 LUFS. So if you are recording, let's say at -3 dB, -4 dB, -5 dB as a peak, in the podcast world, that would be -22 or -23 LUFS. I don't know. Let me see if I have down what that stands for. I don't. Yeah, I don't know where that term comes from. I don't know if it's an international term or like a conversion from somewhere, but that's the word that I just had to escape my brain there for a moment.
Um, Literally, David, someone put it in the chat, and I'm looking for who that was. Someone wrote Luffs, and I didn't understand what you were talking about,
No,
and I didn't want to say it and just sound like kind of stupid, so I just chose to ignore it. It was Craig, and I was like Luffs with a question mark. I was like, that sounds like a name of like a baby My Little Pony or something. I don't know what that is, but so I was like, okay, I'm just moving on. Loudness unit full scale. Loudness unit full scale. Well, I am relative to, yes. Okay, Craig, all y'all, you see, we all learn from each other here, but this is great. Craig, very good. And Josh, you owe Dina a Coke. So send that from Massachusetts to California, please, in the mail. It'll be a good temperature for you, Dina, when it arrives. Okay. So Craig, thank you, and thanks for not being like Siobhán. Why didn't you like read the thing that I when I provided information to the group? And I was like, what? Anyway, Mateo says some people I know made the argument that training to learn a new accent is kind of redundant because agencies might as well choose people that are native speakers of that particular accent. Is that true, Mr. Goldberg?
usually yes, but not always. And for most jobs, we're always going to hire someone who has the natural voice, the accent, the dialect, the language. It just it gives peace of mind to us, and it gives peace of mind to the client. We even have clients who specifically say they need to hire a child for a kid's game or something, and they won't let us hire an adult who naturally has a child's voice. They really want the real deal. And I understand why. It's a lot easier for us to deal with. It's better for the client, as I said. So that's great. But if you are narrating stories, especially audiobooks where you're putting together different characters, like you're running all of the characters yourself, then training of being adaptable with your voice and offering different accents is incredibly useful. Just like in movies, guys, sometimes there are actors who use an artificial accent or dialect to be able to play the role of someone else. There are actors I've seen on TV shows, and then one day I hear them on a talk show and I realize, oh, whatever they're speaking on the TV show is not their native tongue, or their native accent. And I think that's really cool. It's like they did really well. Like I never knew. So that happens. I mean, it's a small percentage of the time. But like I said, if you want to get into audiobook narration anywhere where you're playing different characters, then it can be very, very helpful.
I think, yep, I agree. I agree with David. And for the most part, yeah, if you don't really want to. It's interesting because, like, right, because like in character, like when you do character work, you can add sort of accents, Southern accent, a British accent. There's sorts of things you can do, but obviously you don't want to sort of market yourself in this as someone that you are not, especially when we all know that our auditions are asking for authenticity. And so I think it totally does depend, and it depends on, like, for instance, if the job calls for two different types of accent, like, someone who can do this and this, I think that's a really great place for you to really shine. And when you excel in character and dialect, and you've studied, speech and dialect and things like that, I think that is an awesome asset to, the depth of your voiceover work. But to sort of, like, I don't know. Like, David, do we have people who are not like native speakers, or from, like, of multiple identities? Do we have people who are recording like demos in entirely different accents? I don't think we really do, right?
No, it's very, very well. We've had some over the years, without question, but it's seldom. And it's a quality that you should only show to a casting team if you're really good at it.
Yeah, So keep that in mind, and yeah, but if you're a person who is of multiple identities and speaks multiple languages, that is a wonderful leg up you have in the world to showcase the various skills of your authenticity. You know that that the casting directors want to see. Okay, as I'm going, ooh, okay, we're kind of, oh my gosh, it's 1:51. David, what else? I've like hit the questions. They know everything now. Nope, just kidding. Okay, there's Jennifer says, speaking of movies, that's a bucket list voiceover for me. A Lord of the Rings type Galadriel role fits my voice. Any pointers on how to be found? David, how do you get found as a voice actor?
There are three ways to market yourself. One, uh, use an online casting site, which most people commonly call pay to play sites. Number two, just do your own marketing. Contact companies, reach out to them, post things on Facebook, tell your friends and family, and like the old-fashioned way. And number three, hire an agent or a manager or a rep or someone to do the work for you. I mean, ultimately, those are the three ways to be found.
I agree with David, and I keep talking about this. I was telling Josh about it the other day if he's still here, but yeah, there he is. You know, Brian Wiggins, one of our alum, wrote this Awesome Edge blog about you know, sending a text to like his entire contacts when he recorded his first demo, and for everybody who's like terrified of that because that's really scary, he got an awesome client out of it, and it's a regular client, and that's because he texted people being like, "Hey, I just recorded this. Do you would you potentially need my services or know of someone who might be in need of my services?" You know, and he's like, a lot of people didn't respond. Some people were like, "Sure, I'll let you know." Some people are probably like, "Hey, man, I don't really want to get spammed by you." You know, I mean, it's really tough, right? Like you put yourself out there, and it's always gonna there's gonna be challenges every time, but he also got himself a regular client out of it. So, you know, there's a lot of like getting found. I kind of want you to reframe that uh, as opposed to waiting to be discovered. I want you to discover yourself, and just put yourself out into the world with joy. If you know, to David's point earlier, that this is something you're doing because you love, and you get to share your authenticity and your talent with others who are looking for you. They don't know that they're looking for you necessarily right now, but maybe some of them do, you know? And then Jerry says, sometimes I just fall into your lap from the most obscure source. Friend of a friend, totally, which is why I like to tell y'all to just tell your communities. In every industry, though, I mean, I've been studying pilot writing for TV, and it's the same advice across every industry like this, which is like, start with your network. Tell people that you do this thing, and it's amazing what kind of the things that can kind of happen from there. And if you're like Siobhán, I have a small network, well, that's another conversation. Yes, David.
Yeah, but not but, and I would encourage you to make sure that you clarify what it is that you do. Because if you tell people you offer voiceover, most people think of commercial work. And there's a fair chance that your friends and family, they say, well, I don't need to like have anyone record a commercial. But if you instead say, I offer corporate narration and things of that nature, and you spell it out, pre-recorded telephone recordings, don't even say telephony, they may not know what that means, but pre-recorded telephone systems, corporate narration, corporate sales and training videos, you list out 3, 4, or 5 different things, then your friends and family might get that and say, oh yeah, well, you know, where I work, they're always recording those boring compliance videos, and yeah, maybe I can like, you know, drop your demo off for them. And they may go a lot further if you explain what it is that you offer, if you with examples.
Yeah. Yep. I absolutely agree with all of that. And yes, Julie, if you want to share your oldvoices.com account or a file with David, that would be as part of a private session. As much as he would love to look at everybody's things, he just doesn't have the, you know, there's only so many hours in the day. And yes, Josh added my voiceover blog from Edge Studio that I wrote about Frozen, about Frozen, and putting yourself out into the world. So you can check that out for a little extra inspo as well. And then Mark, quickly, David, we've got 5 minutes. We can end this with this as our last question. Mark says, what is the best way to direct market our demos to companies and or production houses or dream clients? What would you say, what are your tips for that?
This is a question that comes up at least every other session. And that's good because a lot of people are asking about it. It's so important. I think it is critical to research your prospective client, learn a boatload about them. I don't know why it's always a boatload, but whatever the case, it is. And learn about them, figure out what kind of voiceover they need, what are their applications, where could they use you, and then when you reach out to them, let them know that you give them some compliment. Let them know why you're reaching out to them. Like you like their company, you like the products they sell, you follow them on social media, they do really good things for the environment, or whatever. Come up with some very quick, nice, thank you. You guys rock for this reason. And then let them know how it might make sense for you two to work together. So for example, you record your company puts out great apps with narration. I love your meditation apps, for example, and I use them, and they're terrific. So thank you. And also, I'm a voice actor, and I focus on narrated apps. Here's a sample of me recording one of yours. I show them that you can be a little bit proactive, and say, let me give you a couple of days to listen to this, and then I'll be in touch with you. And I'd love to explore working together. I love your stuff, and this is what I do, and you need voice actors clearly, and let's see if it makes sense to work together. And that is a great way to market, rather than just sending a demo saying, hi, I'm a voiceover.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would encourage you. I feel like maybe we should have like a pitch deck class, but I want to encourage folks to think about their pitch decks too, and like getting organized about like who your dream clients are, and the kinds of like the large goals, the medium goals, the small goals, the agents you want to write to, and really making a spreadsheet and getting that together, and getting your emails, making sure they're looking good, either hiring a coach to review those emails to make sure that your copy is good, that you're not accidentally degrading yourself, as we all do when we try to be humble and then we don't sound confident. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff to think about in terms of like getting good pitches out there and getting your follow-ups out there. We had our AMA with an agent who said that she appreciates follow-ups because she's busy. I think everybody can agree that they appreciate follow-ups to stuff that you maybe missed the first time. But don't. But then it's like, don't be annoying. So you know what I mean. We got to have some finesse. So I really want you to consider how you're thinking about it, and how you are putting yourself out there to the people. Yes, pitch deck classes. Okay, cool. Another thing to talk to Sarah about. I'm like, I have never taken notes here, but it took me like nearly 60 sessions of doing this with you guys. I'm like, what day is it? Okay, my beautiful people. Oh my gosh, it's 1:59. All right. Well, we gotta go. So let me drop some pertinent links in the chat here. Private evaluations, they've come up a bunch. And so there they are. There is your class schedule, or a link to do a private evaluation. We also have home studio consultations with Dan Friedman. If you are like trying to get some home studio stuff done. If you are like, I want to do a session with David, then get in on it at this link. Also, if this is your first time at an AMA, if you have used this link before, I'm sorry, I think this code before, I think it doesn't work for you. But if you've never used it and you want to book a session, $25 off if you just use the code AMA for any kind of private coaching or evaluation or whatever. So, get it while it's good. I don't even know what I'm saying right now, you guys. But the key to commercial, that is Saturday the 23rd from 11 to 12:30 with Mr. James Andrews, and I highly recommend you check that out. And then if you are a more of a like, I want that workshop, I want that luxury versus what is the luxury versus everyday voiceover? My brain just stopped. That's another class to take on that same day, and so that's happening on the the 23rd as well, and that's at I think 3 o'clock. So get in on that, and please just get yourself some training. And otherwise, we'll be back on the 14th of July with James Andrews. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't been to an AMA with him, please don't miss it because he really offers a lot of like gems because he is a gem. And I know we got to go. David, any last words?
No, great questions, guys. I appreciate it. Hope this was helpful. And thanks. I wish you a great 2 weeks and hope you're back in 2 more weeks. Siobhán, you rock as always. I feel like a broken record saying that every week, but you do. You're great. So thank you.
It's only wired. It's never tired, David. If you want to save this chat again, that there's a at your bottom right. If you're on a desktop, there's a you can save chat as your first option when you click that little ellipses, three dots in the corner there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, Josh, thank you. This is really kind. Regina, it's great to see you again. It's just great to see all of my wonderful people. Tim, thanks for being here, and Dina, my friend. Terry. All right, I'm getting like emotional now. So have a great 2 weeks. Enjoy your holiday. Hope you all have some time to, I don't know if you like fireworks or if you like to hide from them. I hope that it's comfortable. Mwah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.